Hey, dear listeners, this is part 2 of the Superchunk episode. If you want to understand what we're talking about, you're going to have to listen to part 1 first. Should be up already. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoy the show. Their next album would come out in 1997, and this album would be called Indoor Living, which is hilarious to me because they did release a COVID album. It should have been this. It should have been Indoor
It should have been called Indoor Living. It should have been
called Indoor Living.
Yeah.
That one's also got a good name, too. We'll get to that. But Indoor Living is the album that comes out next, and Indoor Living is very chill.
Well, sorry, what year did this come out?
97.
Okay.
It's very chill. It's very low energy. It's like a very different kind of vibe. I don't particularly love this record, if I'm being honest. We're not going to listen to a song from it here, although one song from it will be on the list called Unbelievable Things. It's a really good track.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of a big departure for them, and it's kind of the beginning of their sort of downward slide in relevance, unfortunately. If it's not their worst album, it's their second worst album, in my opinion.
Sure. I mean, there's got to be one, so.
It's not bad by any stretch, you know. I don't think Superchunk ever made like a bad record, but I can't get into it. It doesn't hit the same way that all the other Superchunk stuff does. And I'm not really sure why they went that direction. Like, I've read a bunch of interviews and stuff with them, and they never said like, oh yeah, we wanted to be depressing now, and you know. So that comes out in 97. And then 2 years later in 1999, they do an album called Come Pick Me Up. And that is kind of on the same like trajectory.
Sure.
You know, it's very chill. It's like low energy. But this time they worked with a producer called Jim O'Rourke. Jim O'Rourke is kind of well known for being like an avant-garde, ambient, like minimalist kind of musician. You know, he worked with like Sonic Youth and, you know, Wilco and Stereolab and, you know, a bunch of artists like that. He's a really well-respected guy. He mixed Wilco's Yankee Hotel Foxtrot album.
Oh, okay,
and produced Ghost is Born for them, which won the Grammy. So, like, you know, he... like a really well-respected artist. They worked with Jim O'Rourke for Come Pick Me Up. Even though it's kind of a departure, it's very experimental. I actually really like this one. Like, it's a very different vibe than the early Superchunk stuff, but I think it works really well. It's kind of divisive. Most of the people who don't like Indoor Living also don't like this one, but some people really like it. I find myself being in the weird position where I don't like Indoor Living, but I do like this one, which I apparently is weird, you know. Two really good songs in this album are Cursed Mirror and the one we're going to listen to here called Hello Hawk, which is kind of the title track.
Okay.
So kind of a departure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good though.
I don't know if they were sort of following bands that they were listening to, or if the bands that they were listening to were kind of following them, or if it was like a, feedback kind of thing. But
yeah, recursive thing.
This is very much like where indie rock was going in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yes.
Yeah. When we talk more about Merge Records here in a minute, we're getting close. We'll get to that, kind of. This, in particular, reminds me of one band that is on Merge Records, which we'll talk about. But, I really like this record. I think it's cool. And I recommend anybody who, if you're the kind of person who listened to the first, half of this episode and thought, I don't really like punk, I don't really like any of this stuff, listen to this stuff.
Yeah.
Because this is something that you might like even if you don't like the earlier stuff. But at this point, the band's popularity had waned a bit. The appetite for, the kind of alternative rock sort of world that they were a part of was kind of gone away.
Sure.
They were not a band. They were all in their mid 30s at this point. They were not a band that was hip and young and ready to go like they had been in the early 90s.
Not exactly hitting the college radio stations quite as hard.
Yeah, exactly. And they'd also just been touring relentlessly. They'd just been working really, really hard.
Yeah, I bet.
The next album that they do is called Here's to Shutting Up. It feels kind of tired. It feels kind of melancholic. But again, I kind of really like this one. But it's weird because it's it's a little more downbeat. It's a little more melancholic, but they also work with Brian Paulson, who produced Foolish.
Yeah.
And so it also kind of sounds a little bit more like early Superchunk at the same time. It's this kind of combination, and I really like it. We'll talk about some of the other standouts here in a minute. There's one called Late Century Dream that's really good. Out on a Wing, which is really good. This next one that we're going to listen to is called Art Class, parentheses, Song for Yayoi Kusama. Are you familiar with Yayoi Kusama?
I am not, no.
She is a Japanese artist.
Okay.
And she was big in the pop art era. She was in New York in the 60s. She actually moved back to Japan in the 70s, and she's been there ever since. She actually lives in a mental institution.
I lied. I am familiar with her. Sorry,
Yes.
I looked her up, and yes, I am familiar with her.
Yeah, she's kind of known for the polka dots and a lot of the infinity nets and things like that.
The very, very bright colors.
Yes, amazing artist. Very interesting person to read about. Highly recommend doing that. I'm not really going to get too much into her, but this song is another very personal song for me. I just really like it. So this is Art Class. Yeah.
Well, dang.
Yeah. That's another one of my favorites from them. Maybe, like, I don't know. It's up there for me.
Yeah, it's a really good song, and it's a really interesting music video.
Yeah.
If you go watch the video, which I encourage you to do.
Yes.
There's a lot of it's kind of referencing like Picasso's Cubism.
Yeah.
But then also like for the progression of time.
Yeah.
And I did a really quick little reading on Yayao and how her whole thing was like the division between the self and the universe.
Yeah.
Which is also represented in this 4-minute long music video.
He says on a trip between 2 points and your infinity net.
Yeah.
Infinity nets were something that she did. She would make these like art pieces, and there'd be mirrors, so it would look like an infinite net. Cover me with spots, black and red dots, till I'm crowding up your visual field. Again, like she would do these fields of dots.
Yes.
So it's very much like referencing her art.
Yep.
But it also, it's a more general thing. Like,
life is sorry, hang on. I'm immediately going to do that thing where I hear a line.
I'm going to try and read this lyric without crying, okay?
Sure.
I'm going to try and read this lyric without tearing up. Why so serious when it's only your life that's at stake?
Yeah.
Why so serious when your life is the art that you make? Like, when I sometimes have trouble expressing to people why I don't feel happy about my life sometimes, and I'm breaking up a little bit here, dear listener. I hope you realize that I'm being very genuine. It's like when you tell people, oh yeah, I'm in a band, and COVID kind of killed our tour, and we lost all our momentum, and now like we're just not really doing stuff anymore. People go like, oh, that sucks, and then they just kind of like move on with their day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to describe to people like how that ruined my life. And I don't want to be like, people died during COVID. What happened to me was not nearly that bad, but like I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm 32 years old. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And this song, like, I first heard this song during COVID. Like, I didn't listen to like a lot of later Superchunk until more recently, when I kind of like dug into their, discography a little bit more. Like, I didn't do that until like 2019, 2020. And this one's powerful. Like, I really love this one.
I think a lot about like shit. Now I'm gonna cry. Hang on.
Aww.
I talk a lot about songs that make you feel closer to some sort of divine power.
Yeah.
And if I had heard this song at the right time in my life, this would be one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give us a minute.
There are wet eyes on the set, folks. And it's not going to get much better here, unfortunately, because this was the disaster album for Superchunk. Every band has a disaster album where like everything went wrong. This album came out the week of 9/11.
I was going to ask when this came out, because I saw that it came out in 2001, and I was like, wow, was this like before or after?
September 18th.
Ouch.
Yeah. 1 week later, literally 1 week later. And on top of that, there's a song on the album called Phone Sex, and one of the lines on that song is, I'm trying to remember exactly what it is, but it's just like, I saw the plane wreckage on TV, I thought it could be me.
Ooh.
They never played that song live. They were like, we felt super uncomfortable.
A reasonable decision to make, frankly.
Nobody, I don't want to be like, to overstate this too much, nobody wanted to listen to this record. Like, when it came out, it just, the timing was horrible. It sucks too, because I think it's a really good record. It's maybe not like quite as good as like their peak years, but it's probably my favorite record outside of it. It's the one where I think they compromise between the like slightly more experimental, slightly more downbeat, like later 90s stuff, and their like, sort of peak era punk with feelings sort of thing. It is underrated. Unfortunately, it was called Here's to Shutting Up.
A thing that I wish more people did in the later 2000s.
You're not wrong. And unfortunately, like I said, that was bad for them. They did one more big tour after this, and didn't really do very well. And so they kind of went on hiatus. Superchunk, they didn't break up per se. They would still play an odd gig every now and then, but they wouldn't release any new music, and they wouldn't do any tours for 9 years.
Yeah.
From 2001 to 2010. In that time, Mac and Laura would spend more time on the label. John Worster, the drummer, would drum with a few other projects, which we'll talk about here in a second. Jim Wilbur did some other stuff too. I couldn't find a lot about him. He seems to be a very private guy where, doesn't really talk a ton about that stuff.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Backtracking a little bit in the timeline, Merge in the late 90s started to get some buzz, started to get some press for some of the bands that they were putting out. A lot of like local Chapel Hill bands, but also bands from elsewhere. The first record that really got big from Merge, that would be Neutral Milk Hotel's In the Aeroplane Over the Sea.
God damn.
Yes.
Wow.
Merge Records. And then they broke up right after that.
Of course.
Which Max said in an interview, he said it was really funny because they released that record and then they broke up, and then all the like magazines were like, this is an amazing album, but we can't find anything about them, like it's mysterious. And Mac was like, they're my friends, we eat like Taco Bell together. Like, it was just like, that's just how I know them, as these like just random guys that I know, and people like think of them as these like mysterious like musical geniuses who made an album and broke up.
Came out of nowhere, gave us like the beautiful gift of a single album, and then disappeared back into the void.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, man, we're eating $1 burritos.
Back then it was like 40 cents. Like it was even cheaper. But I think that Neutral Milk Hotel was influencing Superchunk when they were kind of going through their more experimental, more like chill kind of phase, that really feels like it, because they were bringing in horns and they were bringing in strings and stuff. They did the Magnetic Fields' 69 Love Songs, which is literally an album of 69 love songs. Also it's 69.
Nice.
Yep. And Spoon's record Kill the Moonlight.
Oh dang,
was another big one at the time.
Yeah.
But the one that really made Merge a big deal was in 2004. They released Arcade Fire's Funeral.
Damn.
And then in 2007, they did Neon Bible. And then in 2010, they did The Suburbs. Those were their three biggest albums. The Suburbs hit number one. Billboard number one.
Yeah, that was a huge album. I remember when that album came out, there was a thing you could do where you could like go, they had like a website and you could go and like watch the video, and the video, it would read your IP address, figure out where you lived, and it would zoom into a Google Earth view of your house.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Wild and scary and pretty cool.
Yes. They were doing Spoon Records. They did She and Hims, which was Zooey Deschanel's.
Yeah, Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah, they did a bunch of stuff. Like the 2000s indie thing that you're thinking of right now, if you imagine indie rock in the 2000s, Merge was huge.
Yeah.
It was one of the most important labels in that. And now also at the time they were reissuing a lot of the like early 90s, like the Superchunk albums and the Archers of Loaf albums and all that kind of stuff. I can't really overstate how important Merge was. And I'm not entirely sure that stuff happens, at least the way it does with Merge, if Superchunk still exists. Like or it still existed, but if Superchunk was still active, like Mac and Laura spent more time on the label at this point.
Yeah.
Kind of allowed them to focus more on that.
Also, side note, I don't know which band member, but one band member, their mom goes to church with my dad, so. Of Arcade Fire.
Oh, you're kidding?
No, yeah.
Oh, nice.
When they won they won like a Grammy?
Yeah.
When Arcade Fire won a Grammy, the next day, my dad was like, oh, so-and-so from church, her son just won a Grammy. I'm like, Dad, fucking what?
Yeah.
You have to tell me these things.
Just note to the audience, we're talking like cool church, not shitty church.
Yeah, I'm a Unitarian. I was raised in a Unitarian Universalist church.
Like it's basically like not even going to church.
It's more of a social justice group than read the Bible. Although we did read a lot of Bible reading, and I was always very confused because I'm like, we're not Christians. We don't need this. Where's the Unitarian Universalist Bible? And then nobody ever told me anything about it, and then that's why I'm agnostic.
Yay!
Any dang way.
At that time, too, Mac was doing a band called Portastatic, which was he started it earlier than that, and but he continued doing it through that time. John Worster, the drummer, He did some other projects, including starting in 2006 all the way up to now, drumming for the Mountain Goats.
Wow.
Yes, John Worster has been the Mountain Goats drummer for the last 20 years.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and dear listener, you must know that the Mountain Goats are Hannah's favorite.
I love exactly 2 albums from the Mountain Goats.
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm not saying that I don't like their other albums. It's just that I love Tallahassee and the Sunset Tree so much that there's part of me that doesn't want to listen to other music by them, because if I I'll have less love for Tallahassee and the Sunset Tree somehow. I can't get my brain to just sit down and listen to. I know I can't get my brain to sit down and listen to other Mountain Goats. Although I cannot express to you how much I love Tallahassee and the Sunset Tree. I can sing literally every single song off of both of those albums.
She can, and I've heard it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. I really like the Mountain Goats. I did not get into the Mountain Goats until I started dating Hannah, and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
That was one of the early Your Things to me.
Yeah.
And I love that. In fact, John Darnell, he moved to Durham, North Carolina in the mid-2000s.
Yep.
So, he's there.
Yeah.
They're actually, I think, currently on Merge Records.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that if he stayed there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
it seems very much like his vibe.
Yes, it really does. So, after all of that is done, in 2010, they decide to get back together. Superchunk does. They're kind of it's been almost a decade. Let's make another album and do another tour and see how it goes. So they do and release Majesty Shredding, which is in the grand tradition of reunion albums just kicking ass. All the 90s bands that had a late 2000s reunion album, they kick ass. I've talked about doing a Dinosaur Jr. episode. I literally might do a Dinosaur Jr. episode about just their reunion stuff. Because those 3 reunion records, Beyond, Farm, and Bet on Sky, are fantastic. They might be the best stuff they ever made. And Majesty Shredding is kind of in that same vein. So we're going to listen to a song from Majesty Shredding. We're going to listen to a song from Majesty Shredding called Digging for Something.
Okay.
And Digging for Something is fun. It's goofy and it's fun.
I left the shadow, get last month stuck in the ground.
I like that one a lot. That one's fun.
Wow, if the first song that we listened to was like the perfect encapsulation of what 1992 looked like, that's the perfect encapsulation of what 2010 looked like.
It's pretty amazing.
When eventually in like 5 years, like everybody gets real nostalgic for like the 2010s and wants to like be hipsters again, like come to this music video for your inspiration for like a shitty hipster look.
Yeah, it's really good. I love the video because, dear listeners, you should go watch the video. But basically, it's like, this is what the band's been doing for the last 9 years. And, like,
one's like a dentist, one joined like a weird like Buddhist retreat somewhere.
Yeah, one's like doing like art shows and stuff. Yeah. So, and then Mac is reforming Superchunk, but just him and then a bunch of like
shitty hipsters. Yeah.
It's just really good. And the song is great too. Like, the lyrics for the song, it's first of all, it's a really fun song. It's just very upbeat and like high energy.
Yeah.
And the song is about a bunch of old people going to a party that like some kids are putting on. And it's funny because I think the classic story of that you would have of this is like, oh, these old people go to a party with all these young people and they don't realize they don't fit in and they have a terrible time and they go home and they realize that actually sucked. I hate that. But this song is actually about how like they go to this party and they have way more fun than everybody else does.
Yep.
Yeah. Who's the shadow now? The party moved inside. I don't know how to dance this slow, but I can try.
Yeah.
We laughed when the paddle boat sank. We were dancing on the propane tank. It's a fucking great song.
It's really good.
Yeah. This whole album is fun. John Worster, the drummer, in an interview, he kind of attributes like the more fun, like he sort of said that like in the late 90s the band became a little more like by committee. Everyone had to kind of have a say, and so it became a lot, I don't know the way to put it, but he said it was more collaborative, and that sort of made it harder to kind of just let loose and have a good time. And that when they came back together, basically Mac was just writing again by himself, and he was just like, yeah, like Mac can just do whatever he wants now. And it's kind of, that's what he attributed the sort of more fun energy to, more like the early days.
Yeah, sure. I can definitely see like, later on after you've already been established and now you've like taken a break and come back and you're doing it more for fun, of being like, yeah, it's fine, just do whatever. Like, you write the song, I will drum and it'll sound good and we'll have a great time and we're gonna go play some music.
Yep. Some other great standout tracks: Slow Drip, Fractures and Plaster, Learn to Surf, all good songs. And the late 2000s was actually kind of a really good time for 90s bands. It's weird to think about it that way, but like, if you were a band that was like kind of big in the late 80s, early 90s, the late 90s, early 2000s was a terrible time. Like, nobody wanted to listen to you. You were has-beens, you were lame, nobody gave a fuck about you. But like, already by like 2008, 2009, like everyone was like kind of like hungry for that again. Everyone wanted those bands back.
Yeah.
A lot of bands reformed at that time and did new tours and stuff, and it was a really good time for those kind of bands, and I think Superchunk rode that wave a little bit. A few years later, in 2013, they would do an album called I Hate Music. I Hate Music is, in a weird way, the flip of Here's to Shutting Up, where it was like this sort of compromise between the like late 90s and early 90s kind of thing, where it was like kind of more downbeat and chill, but it was sort of like optimistic and kind of in the style.
Sure.
This one is the opposite. Like, the song is kind of pessimistic, but like the high energy is there. It's sort of thing.
I mean, I'm probably already into it. I love a good dance party at the end of the world song.
Yes.
Like,
oh, trust me, we're getting there. And a couple of great songs. There's one called Staying Home, which has a great music video. Y'all need to watch it. There's one called FOH, meaning front of house. But the song that I really love from this one, and Hannah, I know you've heard this one before because I put it on one of the mixes that I gave to you, is Me and You and Jackie Matu.
Oh, yeah, I know that song.
Yep. Jackie Matu was a Jamaican musician. He was in the original Scatolites from the 60s. He was a first-wave ska musician from Jamaica.
Hell yeah. Me
and You and Jackie Matu is a song about having a difficult relationship with music that I totally understand. So, we're going to listen to that now.
Here we go.
Between us
nice little short one there.
Yeah.
The video's great. Basically, it's just a bunch of fans holding up records. And one of those records is Destroy Oh Boy, which is by the New Bomb Turks, a Columbus punk band.
Oh, nice.
And the artwork for that album was done by a friend of mine.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, back in like the early 90s.
Hell
so,
yeah.
You know, cool stuff. New Bomb Turks is a really cool band, too. Y'all should check them out. But that song, you know, the lyric, I hate music, what is it worth?
Yeah.
Can't bring anyone back to this earth. But then, basically, the whole song is about how the thing that makes music great is not just the music. At least, you know, my interpretation of it. It's about who you are spending that time with. You know, the particular lyric, half an hour in the record exchange, we were always together, we were never the same.
Yeah.
Me and you and Jackie Matu. It's not me listening to music, it's me and you listening to the music together.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I love it. It's this album overall, I will say, is not my favorite from them. But this song hits.
Yes, it does.
I love this one. And this was the most recent album to come out when I started getting into Superchunk. So I kind of remember this being, like, people, you know, like, it was being talked about.
Hey, also, side note, friends, if you are going to look at the lyrics, don't look at the Google lyrics because they're wrong. Look at the Genius lyrics.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like they, like, made the AI listen to the song and,
Yeah.
like, just what it thought that it said.
Yeah. It kind of sucks, you know. But speaking of having difficult relationships with music, this is kind of where I think maybe the saddest thing about the Superchunk story happens. Laura Balance, the bass player, she basically has to step away from the band.
Oh.
She has a condition called hyperacusis. Hyperacusis is just kind of a term for having a, like, increased sensitivity to sound and to, like, loud environments.
So a punk show is probably not going to be the best place to be spending a bunch of your time.
Yes.
Yeah.
She actually says that basically I think she said her right ear, every time she hears, like, a loud noise in it, there is a painful buzzing. Like, it's like, it sounds like a buzzing and a vibration, and it's painful in her ear.
Ouch.
And seems like, you know, I don't know for certain, but she says in a few interviews that she's like, you know, wear earplugs, please. So it seems like it had to do with, like, hearing damage from touring. But she basically said that, like, you know, recording and writing music is fine, but the fun part of playing music for her, and for me too, is playing live. And she's like, I can't do it anymore. And that's really sad. Like,
yeah.
I have to say, I think that really sucks. When I saw Superchunk live, I didn't know that she was not playing live with them anymore. And I remember this guy coming out and being like, hey, where's Laura? Why isn't she in the band? And then looking at, like, pictures online and seeing that she's still in the band, but she wasn't at the show. They didn't say anything. And that was why. That really sucks. The guy who plays with them live is a guy by the name of Jason Narducci. And he's been in tons of bands. He's toured with Bob Mould. He's toured with Sunny Day Real Estate. Like, really great bass player. And he's been able to kind of do the live shows and touring with them for a while. Basically ever since. But, you know, there's something to be said about not having Laura in the band. And she said when she announced that she couldn't do it anymore, she had this, like, huge, like, outpouring of support. Like, people were just, like, you know, heartbroken. And some people were like, well, I'll never see the band again, you know. And she was like, no, don't do that. But, like, man, it's really sad to hear that. And, you know, I don't know what I would be if something like that happened to me. Like, I would have trouble dealing with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can bet.
Fast forward 5 years. They're still playing shows. They're still doing other stuff in this time. 2018, they release an album called What a Time to Be Alive.
2018 sure was, yeah.
Yeah. A name that remains true to this day.
Oh, my God.
Understandably so. This is an angrier, like, more political album.
Yeah.
They that is the shirt that I am wearing is the cover of that album. It's the from that era. That was when I saw them on tour, was this album tour.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't like this album. It's not bad, but I just don't know if that vibe is, like,
what you want from them.
Yeah. You know, it's like there's a couple of good songs on it. I do really like Erasure. That's probably my favorite on the record, but I just didn't particularly love this one. It was a little like uneven, I guess would be the way to put it.
Okay.
But that's I mean, it happens. Like,
yeah,
you make 12 albums or whatever, like one is going to be worse than the rest of them, and
sure.
I kind of feel like this is the one. Sorry. There are people who really like this one too. There was one reviewer who said that this was their best record, and I'm like, I don't know what you're hearing that I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, it was a good time to see them live. You know, they did a good job. And then a few years after that, in 2022, they released Wild Loneliness. That was their COVID album.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, Wild Loneliness is just about... They recorded it all separately during lockdown, and they got a bunch of guest musicians on there as well. Members of Teenage Fan Club, Mike Mills from R.E.M., Tracy Ann Campbell from Camera Obscura, which is a very cool Scottish like indie pop band.
Yeah.
I really like Camera Obscura.
I am aware of them.
Yes. Towns and Cities. Great song.
Mm-hmm.
This is the least like Superchunk has ever sounded.
Mm-hmm.
That is not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I love Superchunk. I love how they sound. But this is like kind of their most... It's like folky. Like, it sounds almost like a folk album.
Okay.
And they bring back some of the like extended like instrumentation that they did in like the late 90s. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's like some strings and some other stuff. And the vibe is it's still very political. It's still very like present and angry, but it's not as like high energy. It's a much more like chill kind of anger. And I really appreciate this record. I actually did not listen to that until I was putting together this episode. I had listened to everything up to What a Time to Be Alive, and then I hadn't listened to this one. COVID was a hard time for me to listen to music. You know, I'll just say that. So I really like this record. And it's got a goat on the cover. And goats are cute. So we're going to listen to one last song. A couple of standouts on this one. There's a song called This Night, which is great. There's a song called City of the Dead. And that's what we're going to actually end this episode on. City of the Dead is like their COVID song. And it's hard to listen to. It is a song about post-apocalypse, essentially.
Yeah.
But it's not the kind of post-apocalypse. It's not like dark and depressing and fallout. It's like, hey, you know, we're going to have to go out there and we're going to have to make our coffee and we're going to have to remake the world under yellow skies. And that's just what we're going to have to do. We're also going to have to dig a hole big enough to bury... They say these guys, and it's a fascinating lyric because you can interpret that a whole bunch of different ways. Yeah. So... Superchunk's still around. John Worster left the band to focus on some other projects. They've got a lady named Laura King playing drums for them now. And, you know, they're probably going to release more music, and I'm excited. They're still touring. I'm not going to be able to see them on this tour, unfortunately. But I'm sure I'll get to see them again one day.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll come with me.
I love that.
Anyway, this is City of the Dead. And this was My Thing, Your Thing. With Donovan
and Hannah.
Yeah. And this was my thing. And I hope you like it.
Can walk for miles in the evening to clear your head. Still wake up each day, oh, in the city of the dead. So many things you can't undo. Well, you can only push through. Turn all your dirt over until the thing that grows is new. up the basement, and there's a wild wind upstairs. It's rattling the casements, but I'll still make the coffee, and we still make the beds. And the kids are scarred but smarter. Oh, in the city of the dead. Yeah, in the city of the dead. Remake the world when the old one dies. Cover your mouth and open your eyes. Build your pyramids tall and your avenues wide. There's colonial dirt that you can't fertilize. Mutate the world under orangey skies. Cover your face when you need a disguise. Unleash a storm and a season to bring back the butterflies.
Thanks for listening. You can find us at mythingyourthing.com or at mythingyourthingpod on social media. Thanks to RK Maroon for letting us use their song Macaroni Art from the EP You Can't Eat Horses. You can get it at rkmaroon.bandcamp.com. If you have a thing you think we should talk about, email us at mythingyourthingpod@gmail.com, and maybe that could be our thing.